Well, Merkel and other German leaders hitched their wagon to Russian natural gas. And they assumed that it would always be available. And and all of their industry became reliant on that relatively cheap pipeline gas from Russia. And now that's gone away largely. And so it sent their industry into crisis. And even despite this crisis, despite soaring energy prices, despite the fact that their economy is now in recession, in April, they shut down their remaining nuclear power plants. I mean, it's just like, what are you doing? I mean, how stupid can you possibly be to forego your energy security and shut down your most reliable, low-cost, zero-carbon sources of electricity? And then what have they done since then? They're expanding a lignite mine, which is the most, when it comes to producing electricity, burning lignite is the most carbon-intensive method. Not only did they expand the lignite mine, they took down a wind energy project to do it. And so, I mean, it's just like you couldn't make it up if you wanted to in trying to figure out, okay, well, let's do all these things wrong. And they just have done it all wrong. And so, like I said, if I were a better person, I'd feel sorry for them. I don't feel bad about it. Too bad. So sad. Sucks to be you.
Okay, fair enough. Well, what's interesting on that too, that as you say, that so folks, Robert and I have been writing on energy issues. That's how we know each other for a decade plus at this point. And the thing that always struck me in this debate, Robert, at least I should be referring to the U.S. policy wonks and those people. That's the one I know more particular. Yeah. So maybe my comments don't extend beyond that. But certainly in the U.S. context, there were all these telling us how the world, or at least humanity's very existence is at stake, and that we have to get down to these very aggressive emission reduction, or else we're seriously in jeopardy. And yet they also weren't for nuclear. Right. And it was like, well, I don't believe you. I don't think you actually believe your warnings, because if you did, and some of them, I think, was it James Hansen eventually came around? I think some of the big gun climate alarmists, to use that term, eventually after a while did start saying, okay, at this point we got to do a crash development of nuclear. That's the only way. Right. And so I thought, okay, maybe that guy actually, but he was rare. And then even there, a lot of the leftist environmentalists stopped touting him as much. Sure. Because now it was like, oh, well, he kind of caved out. He's not good on nukes anymore. So, right. I mean, can you speak to that?
Well, sure. I mean, this is the enormous silliness and I think danger, in fact, of what I call the anti-industry industry. This anti-industry industry, the Sierra Club, the Natural Resources Defense Council, Environmental Defense Fund, Rocky Mountain Institute, League of Conservation Voters. You take the top 20 or 25 of those, I documented it on my Substack. Their annual budgets are in the neighborhood of $4.5 billion a year. This is an enormous industry. And what are their goals? They are to undermine traditional energy. They're to undermine and stridently oppose in many cases, the use of nuclear energy, and Riverkeeper among them. And these are the entities that have been continuing to fight nuclear power plants, including the ones that are existing, and fighting for the closure of Indian Point, for instance, in New York. Natural Resources Defense Council sued and was involved in litigation to try and force the closure of that plant. These groups are a threat to our energy security, and I can't say it any more plainly than that. And that, yes, climate change. They say they're interested in climate change, but they oppose nuclear. Well, that's only one part of it. The other part of it is that these groups are now aiming to close all of our remaining coal plants and half of the existing natural gas plants. That is the stated mission of this group called Beyond Carbon, which just got $500 million from Michael Bloomberg. Sierra Club, NRDC, and RMI are going to be among the chief beneficiaries of this. This is just, not only is it just bad policy, it's stupid policy, it's just deeply dangerous. So I identify these groups as the enemy because I think that is the correct term for them. They are a direct threat to the energy security of the United States.
So having said that, maybe we should just...
And I get worked up here, Murphy. I mean, I just I've looked at it for too long. I've seen it for all these years, and it's finally made it clear that no, it's not just that they say they're interested in climate. They are actively trying to undermine our most important energy network. And I find that absolutely wrong. And I'll oppose them with all my energy because what they are proposing would be ruinous at a time when the electric grid is already facing reliability challenges.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, this is Bob Murphy. Thanks for listening to this clip from the In5 podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, please consider subscribing and share this video with others. We've got new episodes dropping every Friday with more insightful discussions. Stay tuned.